morning travellers, Chris here and welcome to your day trip tour of Kuranda National Park. We're taking the Scenic Railway up to the mountains this morning and coming back on Skyrail, so I hope you enjoy the tour. That's right folks, we're staying in Cairns at the moment and off for a day trip to Kuranda. And one of my best recommendations to experience would be starting with the Kuranda Rail journey. The Kuranda Rail and Skyrail Gondola are two different companies, but you can book as a package for a return journey. The train leaves about 9:30 every morning, but there is an earlier one during busier times. You're able to check in about an hour earlier than that, but with the lineup I do recommend going as early as possible. The trains are very old school with open windows and padded seating. You're generally allocated a carriage number and evened out along the entire train. However, today we were lucky enough to be checking out the Gold Class section, which has more comfortable seating, a few drinks and some light snacks. Before too long we were boarding the train and shown to our seats. This is starting at the Cairns Central train station, but there is another common stop at the Freshwater station. This means we had about 15 minutes before the train got to Freshwater and picked everybody else up. The entire journey takes about 2 hours, but there is an overall commentary running the whole time to tell you about the train, the track up to the Kuranda, the history of the area, and the rainforest you're driving through. You'll also pass through plenty of tunnels. The scenes in different areas are just beautiful and well worth the trip. As a part of our Gold Class seating, we were quickly served some drinks and about 4 different types of light snacks. The service was a very nice addition to our trip. The train starts to slow down on a hook turn, and this is where being on the right-hand side of the train will actually come in handy and able to witness and capture the train going over the bridge. However, those on the left-hand side will see the waterfall coming down. I think this is Stony Creek Waterfall, and one we'll be checking out later when touring around Cairns itself, so stay tuned for that. Now for our main stop at Barron Falls. Keep in mind you can also stop on the Skyrail here, but it's not the same spot. There is a small 10 to 15 minute wait here for you to get out and check out these massive falls. As we're visiting during winter time, there isn't a whole lot of water coming down. But if you're around in the summer months from December to March, there can be a huge difference in the amount of water coming down. My advice would be to get out as quickly and capture your pics. The crowds soon follow and it's really hard to get a good spot. Depending where you are on the train, the right-hand side of the platform does have some stairs and a higher lookout point. I find your pics from here will make a great addition to your album. But once again, move quickly to claim your spot in the crowds. Before you know it, that siren bellows across the platform and you need to board the train again to continue your journey to Kuranda. About 30 minutes after that, you arrive at the Kuranda train station and ready to explore this small rainforest town. As a whole, Kuranda is a shopping town with a pub, local cafes and restaurants, souvenir shopping, locally made arts and crafts, a chocolate store, a candy kitchen, and Indigenous art sales. There is one main street, but if you are planning to see particular things, then it might help to download a map beforehand to plan out your day. It took us a while to find a map when we were there, and by that stage we had wandered up and down the streets a few times. You can spend a couple of hours wandering in the stores and seeing what Kuranda has to offer. Then you can sit down for a lunch and enjoy a few drinks with views and sounds of the surrounding rainforest. On the other hand, you do have several experiential parks to check out, and today we started with a riverboat cruise. This was a 45-minute cruise and cost $25. This can be booked online or you can pay cash to the boat captain when you board. As it only runs certain times during the day and priority is given to those who book online, I would say it was a better way to go. Very quickly, the tour leader spotted a cassowary across the banks of the river. What's a cassowary, I hear you say? Well, it's a large flightless bird closely related to the emu, but heavier, and in fact, it's the heaviest bird in Australia. They have black feathers designed for protection to keep them dry and safe from thorns in the rainforest. They are common in North Queensland, but not a lot around in public spaces, so we were very lucky to see it. The rest of the tour will cruise down the Barron River and through the wet tropics area of North Queensland. The operator will provide a commentary of the area and this ancient tropical rainforest, history of Kuranda, and life on the river for its inhabitants. This is home to some freshwater crocodiles, turtles, ducks, fish, and hundreds of bird species. Bringing a camera with some good zoom capabilities would be very handy here and help you capture the smaller creatures. From the river you can also see the Skyrail Gondola passing by, which we'll be checking out in more detail later on our way back to Cairns. Next up, we paid a little extra to visit the Koala Gardens, which is a big hit for the overseas visitors wanting to see the native Australian animals. As soon as you walk in the gate, you're walking straight over the crocodiles. Then onto the koalas. We saw such a variety of animals and lots in the open air. Animals including wallabies, wombats, bearded dragons, quokkas, gliders, and of course the freshwater crocodiles. The quokkas are well known for being the happiest animals in the world and very common to see at Rottnest Island in Western Australia. Very convenient that you can see them over this side of the country too. The kangaroos are just mostly lazing around in the sun for warmth, but if you get in first thing in the morning, then you might catch them feeding. Don't forget the nocturnal house for those that are not normally awake during the day. This can include the betong, gliders, and the Rare Bilby if you can't find them. I was actually in Charleville last year and they have a very good Bilby display out there. Check out the video in the description below. We spent about 40 minutes wandering around and checking everything to see. For the small size of the park, they certainly do have lots of variety. Know that you do have other parks to choose from like Birdworld and the Butterfly Sanctuary. So if you organise ones that you want to see beforehand, then you can save on ticket prices before visiting a few different experiences. At Birdworld, you're in an open air enclosure and the animals are free to fly in and around you. They have over 60 species from the rainforests around the world like the macaws and include some of Australia's finest like the cassowary, the lorikeets and the galahs. The enclosure is naturally landscaped with waterfalls, ponds and native plants. The Butterfly Sanctuary is pretty much the same as the bird enclosure. It's open air for you to wander around and check them all out. So many different varieties and even a museum display of rare species. Watch as they fly around you, feed off the displays, and even can land on your head. We saw all we wanted to see at Kuranda, and it was now time to head back to Cairns, but our fun was not over as we were about to embark on a new experience on the Skyrail Gondola, suspended on a cableway above the tropical rainforest. Even better for an extra experience, getting the glass bottom gondola and able to see right beneath us. The Skyrail Gondola is a much quicker ride back to Cairns, taking about 30 minutes from start to finish. But there are a couple of stop-offs you can do along the way which will extend that time. This includes a different viewpoint to the Barron Falls I mentioned before, and Red Peak. As we stopped at Barron Falls on the way up, we chose to stop at Red Peak only this trip, although Barron Falls would still be a great addition if you're visiting through the rainy season. The views from the gondola are absolutely amazing and completely worth the experience. Every so often the cableway will slow down or stop. Seems pretty standard and you'll soon be on your way. It's very quiet inside the enclosure, but open windows on each side. This way you can still hear the different sounds of the rainforest, like the birds and the water running. Our stop at Red Peak took us to a very easy and short boardwalk view of the National Park rainforest. There were signs along the way to help you teach about the different plants and animal life in the area. We even came across a lookout point and managed to see a snake basking in the afternoon sun. Back at the station, there were heaps of reading material and information provided, and plenty of time to hang around and read it all. Or you could just line up again, jump back on the Skyrail Gondola and make your way down to Smithfield in Cairns. This is where you'll start to see the rainforest meeting the ocean and the Cairns population in between. The one thing I will mention is the Skyrail Gondola actually stops at a different place as the Kuranda Railway. So if you drove yourself in the morning, then you'll want to take advantage of the bus transfers they have available to get you back to the railway station or to Cairns Central. These can be booked at the same time you pay for your ticket. It's an awesome day out and one the whole family will enjoy. I have plenty more videos coming up from our Cairns to Cooktown road trip, so stay tuned. Until then, don't forget to check out other Queensland videos from clicking here. Until next time guys, see you for now.